Why do you feel like midlife is a really powerful time for this kind of healing for women?
Because you've accumulated experiences and lessons and wisdom, and you can share it. And the wisdom is in the wounds. And it's okay that we have wounds. We beat ourselves up because we have wounds, but there's wisdom. And once we rise and we get to just be who we are, and we don't care about so much of the stuff we used to care about. Think about how amazing it would be if the generations younger than we are trusted their intuition. I feel like this is significant for us to rise right now and say, yes, trust your intuition. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Lisa and I are both raising daughters. And so we talk about things like this. I think especially showing our daughters how to do that. And I think it's hard for women of our generation because we're not used to it. We're still learning ourselves.
Welcome to Drinks with the Girls, conversations for women over 40 around connection, change, and the power of female friendship. Living well with stories to tell. I'm Karen, and this is Lisa.
We are moms and solopreneurs stepping into our own, diving into real conversations about things that matter to women in midlife.
We're here to spill the tea on everything that affects women in their 40s and beyond. Topics like loss and grief, changing relationships, launching kids, menopause, and reinventing ourselves in midlife. We are here to tackle it all.
Connect with us through a blend of our lived experiences, our friendship, the memory of our moms, plus a collection of real stories, honest conversations, and engaging interviews that will make women over 40 feel seen and remind them that they're not alone on this journey called life. Let's go.
Welcome back to another episode of Drinks with the Girls. We are so excited that you are here, and we have an amazing guest for you today. We have Christina Woods, author, hypnotherapist, coach, and healer, and we're going to talk about creating true freedom in midlife. We're going to get rid of the self-doubt, the old stories we have on repeat, the limiting beliefs. We're going to get into all of it. Before we get going, I'm going to let you know what I'm drinking. I am drinking in my really cute little tumbler.
Sippy cup, adult sippy cup.
You know, I'm trying not to be shamed by you by calling
not shaming. You called it that. I'm actually saying I like it because future merch will be a Drinks with the Girls sippy cup. There's absolutely no shame. I love it.
Well, I have ice water with lemon. There it is.
Oh my gosh, I almost had ice water and I was like, no, that's too boring.
That's me today.
All right. Well, I am drinking a lovely, because I wanted to up level a little bit in my, this is a glass that we got for our wedding 20 years ago, and it's still in one piece. I don't know if I have the whole set, but it's still one piece, but I like it. And it is one of my faves, Freak Show, Michael David Cabernet. And our lovely guest will introduce herself and tell us what she's drinking as well.
Hello. Nice to meet everyone. Christina here. And I am drinking what makes me feel bougie, a Pellegrino with some lemon.
Nice.
I pretend I'm in Italy. And it's my Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Moscato Vodka, Tequila.
Wait, what? Wait, well, what? Hold up.
Can you
show
see
that
it?
Move it over just a little bit.
Okay, there you go.
Oh, need, want, love.
Isn't that cute?
It's a good one.
That is darling.
Yeah, my girlfriend's got me that. So.
Oh, that's really super cute.
We love girlfriends that know exactly what we need.
Oh, I have a whole a cabinet full of the most hilarious.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love it. So tell everybody a little bit about what you do, Christina.
Yeah. So like you said, I'm a hypnotherapist and a healer, an energy healer. And I also am a high performance coach. And this gets to be my second gig, my second amazing career. I had a 30-year corporate career for the first chapters of my life. And as I was knocking on the door of 50, I decided to flip my life upside down and realize I was completely burned out. And, we'll get into that story, but realized through my own journey what hypnotherapy was, because this was not anything ever on my agenda. It was that was something the guy at the fair did, or Vegas, or, a TV show. And now my kids were like, oh my gosh, mom, you're like the guy at the fair. But yeah, I get to work with women all over the world. I have women in probably 12 different countries that I work with virtually. And I started with hypnotherapy and took all my corporate experience in coaching. And then I started to realize that energy healing really just sort of made it on steroids and move faster for everyone. And I get to combine it all and mix it together and use the Wise Woods method to help women all over.
I'm so excited to dive into this. And a little plug for us, we're in 46 different countries right now. So I will be very excited to see what the Venn diagram is of Christina's 12 countries and like where that fits in. So yay.
That's great. That's great. So yeah, let's go.
That sounds good. Let's get into it. So I want to talk first of all about limiting beliefs and that self-doubt that I know I'm plagued with. Even though I'm a coach myself, I've been trained as a counselor. I thought I wanted to be a marriage and family therapist long ago. So I've had training, but it's like I still have these, and I even know what to do. So how do self-doubt and limiting beliefs kind of sabotage ourselves, or keep us from our joy, really?
Yeah. So I think, like you said, we all have them. It doesn't matter how educated we are, or even knowing about them, consciously knowing about them actually just makes them a lot more frustrating, because we consciously know about them and we can talk about them. It's like, why did I do that? Why did I eat that? Why did I say that? But I think it's really important to know that our subconscious, or our unconscious mind, is sort of like our blind spot. Like when you're driving, you don't see it. You can't see the car. So we can't see these beliefs, these limiting beliefs. We don't feel them. They just sort of happen. And our subconscious mind is just like that picture of the iceberg. It's what's underneath the water. And that's 95% of how the lens in which we see ourselves and we see the world, we view things. And yet consciously, when we're pretty logical people, and we've been around the world, and we've had life experiences, and we've read a few books and been to a few workshops and took some pretty good notes. And so we think like, yeah, I kind of know that and I know this, but that's only 5%. And so, but the more we bring these limiting beliefs, these conscious, subconscious thoughts up and make them aware, then they do become conscious, and we do become more aware, and then we can transform them. But there's no shame in them being in our subconscious. It's knowing that our subconscious is actually a highly suggestible place. And that means it can be very suggestible for, shitty, bad, suggestible ideas and beliefs, or really good ones. It's just what happened when we were really suggestible, and what thoughts made us feel really safe at that time to navigate life and what was going on. So, but it's really good that they're very suggestible, because we can rewire them and change them.
Yeah, so that gives us hope.
Absolutely.
It does. But we got to know what they are, right?
I was just going to say, my husband's been doing hypnotherapy for a while, and he's found it. He has really horrific PTSD, and he's found that to be really helpful for his nervous system. But I'm considering hypnotizing myself out of some limiting beliefs. So I'm excited about listening to this. So I also feel like we are on such overdrive as midlife women that like we will just power through anything, right? And so what happens is, like we talked about in our caregiving episode, a friend of mine calls it the panini generation, not the sandwich generation, because like the cheese is literally getting squeezed out of you, right? Yeah. And so like the cheese that gets squeezed out, I feel shows up in like our health, our energy, our well-being. And it's like the last place we see it is our conscious, like, oh, this sucks. Like I am holding on by my fingernails. And that sometimes I feel like are the only clues. So what do you see with your clients in terms of they're like, well, I'm doing this, I can't sleep, I can't this or that. Like how would people have some clues as to like,
Yeah. Well, overwhelm is such a big one. When you go from 0 to 100, really quickly. I mean, I have a client the other day who is a doctor at a very, very well-known hospital who can handle, a lot. She's juggling a lot. She's a mom, she's a doctor, she's very professional. But one little thing happened and she completely went into overdrive. On an average day, it wouldn't have sent her into overdrive. So, when we're at our wits' end, when we're juggling so many things, it didn't even dawn on her to ask for help. But, it was literally to the point where she's like, I think I'm going to have to move. I'm going to have to change professions. I'm going to have to do this. It's like, slow down, hold on. So, we get into exactly, take a breath. And so getting so overwhelmed, but we get in absolute fight or flight mode that you can't think, you can't solve problems. Sleep is a huge one. So many of my clients have problems with sleep and anxiety. I can't, it'd be hard for me to find a client that doesn't have anxiety to some degree. And it's become so normal that they've normalized it that I don't think they even recognize it as anxiety anymore. It's like I just have a lot going on. This is what I just have. Who else is going to do it? This is just the way my life is right now. This is a season of my life, and health. Our body isn't meant to process our emotions, and we've gotten to a point where we don't process our emotions. So our body is taking the hit and our nervous system is screaming at us through anxiety, through overeating. I mean, that was a big one for me. And overspending is a big one. And that's maybe not quote unquote health, but boy, does that cause a lot of stress. A lot of my clients will also come to me and say, my credit cards are here. My health is terrible. I mean, we just got everything cranked up so high because we're just trying to navigate this overwhelm, frankly.
And it just makes me think of Amazon and how when you were talking about the shopping and the spending, because I think we get to this point and we're just trying to fill maybe this void, or we're trying to get that, dopamine hit or whatever it is. And
Yeah.
Amazon just makes it so easy. Oh, look at this cute skirt. Oh, look at that sweater. Oh my gosh, look at that dish set. And it can be here tomorrow, right? But then, you accumulate all this stuff, your credit card gets higher and you're still not happy.
You're
Like
not
it
happy.
doesn't fill the void, right? So,
Yeah.
like, how do we get here? How did we get here as midlife women who are at this place?
We've slowly disconnected from ourself, slowly. And when you disconnect from yourself, you stop tuning in to your how to be you. We've outsourced our power a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here. And we all have heard, we know, okay, yes, I people please, but it's so much more than that. When we outsource our power, we're outsourcing our divine wisdom, our intuition, our knowingness. I mean, think about what a big deal that is to outsource your what the doctor's telling you a bunch of crap and your kid needs medicine, or it's sick, or you need to leave work right now because there's some crisis at home, or like our rooted knowingness. But because we have all this other noise and we've outsourced so much of our knowingness, we've slowly just start to disconnect from who we are and our power. So as you do that, it slowly chips away from this wisdom, which is really, women have so much power. You don't have to go to school for it. We already have it. Our creativity, our power, our ability to create community and support one another, and all of the things that that we are so capable of. And so I feel like that is what I do, is tune women back into that divine wisdom and power within them, just to listen, just to find themselves again.
I never really thought about midlife being like the ultimate disassociation. Right?
It is.
I never
Yes.
thought about it, and that is so freaking spot on, right? Because like, yeah, it that's what I have to do to get it done. I just disassociate and just right? And we're masters at it. And I don't think men are good disassociators. They just kind of like do their thing, right? Like we talked about that last time. And again, we're not like a man bashing kind of podcast.
Yeah.
It's just very, very different. But that really strikes me about how that's the mode we go into. And so we just completely disconnect from any kind of like reality, our bodies, like all that kind of stuff. So I guess we need to go back a little bit, and maybe I know I would, and probably our listeners would too, talk a little bit more about how those kind of subconscious beliefs that are there. Like I feel like when we're kids, younger, like we do pretty well. Like we're present, we're in our bodies. Like if you want to jump off the fence, you jump off the fence, right? Like it's less of a disconnect there. But as we get older, that obviously happens. So there's a point at which we get stuck, right? And then it's this idea of like, oh, well, we know better, right? It's do as I say, not as I do kind of thing. And
Yeah.
it just gets to be a mess after that. So how do we get from that kid just joyfully jumping off the fence to like, holy shit, I'm gonna lose my mind if I don't go to the rage room and smash some crap.
Right, right. Well, our subconscious, and this is probably not any new knowledge to anyone, but until we're about 7, it's this beautiful sponge, and then it kind of closes. It's like a vault, it closes. So, and it's not anything in particular that happens to us. It's always just the meaning that we're attaching to everything throughout life. So we literally can be, a teacher can make a comment to us, and for you it means one thing, for you it's another. To you, I feel stupid. Or mom picks me up, from soccer late, and I take it as she loves my brother more than me. It's what is the meaning that we've attached to it. So these are little crumbs that add up in our subconscious. The meaning we attach, the nuances, the smells, the all of it together. So when I go back in hypnosis, it's what are you sensing and feeling and seeing, and all the little things that go into it, because we're sensory beings. And as children, we're so full of senses, and we're taking it all in, like that little sound, this little thing. So we have to just respect that as children, we're just soaking it all in. And all it is to create a sense of safety. How do we stay safe? So our subconscious could care less if we're happy, if we're joyful, if we're rich and skinny and any of that stuff, or we're good moms. It really doesn't care. It also doesn't know how old we are. So as we become midlife and we're navigating life and juggling and all these things, and we're trying to be the best and do all the things, and then look cute right on top of it, or something nutty like this, we're thinking like, I got this, and we're, of course, maxed out, and then our hormones and everything else is kicking in. Our subconscious over here literally could be 8 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old, not feeling validated, not feeling heard or seen. And there's a part of, now we're 50 and we're thinking that's ridiculous. I'm seen, I've got a loving partner. Everything's cool over here. What's the problem? And these parts of us haven't been upgraded. We upgrade our phones. I mean, I'm insane about upgrading my phone. My text isn't working properly, but these parts of us absolutely need to be upgraded. And we do upgrade parts of them, but these core beliefs, if we're still noticing that we're on overdrive, or we're people pleasing, or we literally feel guilty for taking a nap when we're exhausted, we feel guilty for saying, I don't want to cook dinner tonight, or I don't want to do that. Can we just, I want to do this instead, or I feel this, because you literally have a right to feel whatever you're feeling, and not have to over explain yourself or be apologetic about it. I mean, these are we're okay just to feel this way. Yet most of the time, I would say 90% of my clients, the very first sentence they ever say to me is, I shouldn't be calling you. I have everything I should ever want or need, and I feel guilty that I don't feel happy. And I should feel happy, but I don't. I'm not. But I should be grateful for what I have, as if I have almost all this pie over here, so I should just shut up.
My name is Karen Shatafian, and I am a shameless coffee addict and empowerment coach for women, and my love language is authenticity. My mission is helping women unapologetically design a life they're in love with. Because what the hell are we waiting for? My website, KarenShatafian.com, has all my coaching packages and free offers like my Midlife Reclamation Guide. In it, you'll find tools to help you decide how to create the most inspired and empowered version of yourself and your life. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram talking about ways women can show up for themselves after decades of showing up for everyone else. Join me as we throw off the shackles and live our best freaking lives. See the show notes for all the details. Cheers.
I feel like we get to this point and we don't, that inner wisdom, that inner power that you were talking about. Talk about how our socialization fits into that. Because all I'm thinking of is, we are not encouraged as young girls and young women to rely on our intuition. We're not encouraged to be who we are, whether that's loud and messy and boisterous or, more demure and quiet or whatever.
No.
We are taught to get our validation from outside, whether that's overperforming, and I just feel like we never feel like we're enough. So
no, we're not. We're not. The whole I even remember, you're right. You're absolutely right. I remember in my early 20s in a job that I had, I was about to interview my first person. I was in a low management position, going to interview my first person, and I was learning interview skills. And I remember it said, do not go by your intuition. That's a joke. Only ask these questions. And I remember I hadn't even studied any of this stuff. And I remember thinking, well, that seems odd. Shouldn't you go by your gut? Shouldn't
Right.
I go if I feel like the person's kind of a jerk? Shouldn't I kind of feel that? And so I remember thinking, oh, I'm supposed to throw that out the door and not trust what I feel. It was in a book. And I always remember that because, you're young, you're impressionable, you're learning how to be professional and learning from someone that's an expert. So, we're taught to ignore our instincts that we're born with, that to me are a divine right. This is what makes us who we are. And it's to each his own. We know, we feel, we can't deny it. And the more it's encouraged, it is our superpower. And so, but yet our society, especially with women, with men's intuition, not so much. I'm the mother of two boys. I watch it and I see it, and I'm proud to be a mother of two boys. But with women, that's silly, ha ha. It just is. And I've truly made it my mission to try to empower us to go back and trust that. But it's laughed at and discouraged to the point where even women that will come to me and say, I want to trust my intuition more, will say, but do you have a 5-step process that I should follow to trust my intuition? As if I did, it would validate how you trust your intuition. There needs to be like a playbook or a rule book to validate that it's official, to give it oomph, right? To make it, this, I don't know, give it a little bit of meat. It's like, nope, there's no playbook. It's actually just something you feel, and you got to actually take a leap and trust it. And I'm not going to do it for you. I'm going to show you and guide you. And then guess what? You get to jump off the cliff on your own and trust it.
This is actually reminding me, Karen knows I am our episode encyclopedia, but we did an episode with a good friend of mine who's a psychic medium, and we talked to her about this. And I swear to God, I could replace her with you right now, and it would be the same things coming out of her mouth. And that's
I'm an intuitive.
That's exactly what she said. Because we were like, oh, how did you know you had psychic ability and blah, blah, blah. She goes, well, I think everybody has it. And
sure.
We just diminish it as we get older. She goes, you have intuition. She goes, it's really about trusting your intuition and your empathic senses with people, and training yourself to really hone in on that. And that really struck me, because it was not that, oh, okay, everybody's going to tell their fortune and we're all like Rain Man, predicting stuff, but just that superpower that women have of their intuitive sense is diminished. It's made fun of. It's just really pushed in the background, right? So tell me a little bit about, like, I know from talking to my husband kind of how it works, but compare, for example, I mean, a lot of people are fairly familiar with like traditional talk therapy.
Yes.
So talk about, I've had some of this done, but I would like to hear your kind of spin on this. Talk about the difference between like typical talk therapy and this focus on kind of the subconscious and the energy systems that you focus on. Like, if I've had talk therapy before, what am I going to notice when I work with you is some of the major differences?
Yeah. So we're not going to talk too much about your background and your family, and tell me about your kid, your childhood for very long. I might do that for maybe 20 minutes. But in hypnosis and going into your subconscious, it's really about getting you into a very relaxed state, into a brainwave state. It's a natural state, by the way. So it's nothing like Netflix movies and the weird things or acting weird, but it's in a brainwave state that you're very highly suggestible. So it feels like a meditation. And I don't think people realize we're talking the entire time. So you're not in a weird trance, you're not frozen, and you don't get stuck in it, by the way. Yes, you go to the bathroom if you need to. You hear the dog barking. People are like blown away by this. And I was too. You hear the lawnmower outside. It's all okay. And but you go into a brainwave state where the conscious critical mind that says, but nobody else does it better than you, Mom. You have to be the one that does it all. Or what will the neighbors think? Or you're going to be a bad mom. Or, you're not going to be, no one will like you at work if you don't work till midnight every night, or whatever it is, the stuff we tell ourselves. We quiet that and we open your subconscious mind that's highly suggestible. We find out, why is it that you people please to the point of exhaustion and now you have 5 autoimmune diseases? Why? What is the root cause? The root cause is different for you, and you. Why is it that you lose 100 pounds and gain? Why? Why do you go into debt up and down? Why do you date losers that treat you terrible? Why? It's not the same for everyone. Why do you smoke versus you smoke? It's completely different. The root cause, we get to the root. If I were to garden in my backyard and just chop everything off the top, that's stupid. It's all going to grow back. So let's just get to the very root and find the very first time this belief was planted. So we might go back to birth. When you're in your mother's womb, we do this all the time. We might go back to when you're in 3rd grade, 5th grade, in your 20s, and we piece together when these little beliefs were planted. So we get to see how then I'm not enough feeling, or I have to do it all myself and no one's coming to help me. I can't count on anyone. That's a huge one for women. Or my needs don't matter. Why even tell anyone? No, it doesn't matter anyways. No one cares. And if I, cry in my pillow at night, and no one's gonna support me anyway. So find out what they are. And then we go back and once you see something and you understand, you're able to have so much more compassion, and we flip and we rewire them. It's like when Santa Claus isn't real anymore, you don't have to go back to every moment you ever realized he wasn't real and go, oh, that time at the mall, that time, da-da-da. You just know now he's not real. It's a paradigm shift. Like, okay, he's not real anymore. You might go back like, okay, yeah, that was weird. That one time Dad dressed up like that. But it's done. He's just not real anymore. So when you know you're enough, and that thing that happened was just because Mom was late and they were fighting, and that had to do with them and not you. And oh, I wasn't bad. I am enough. It's like, I'm enough. And then we rewire with giving you a custom audio recording you listen to every day for a minimum of 21 days, sometimes 60. And our brain has neuroplasticity. And this is the big part of hypnotherapy. You have to listen to an audio every day, about 20 minutes. You can listen to it while you sleep. Our subconscious is still working. And you listen to it every day. And I make it custom for you or whoever your hypnotherapist is. And it's to very powerful, like binaural beats or certain megahertz. And it literally rewires. And before you know it, you're like, okay, I feel better. Or I'm not as sensitive if you have PTSD or whatever you're doing it for. It's pretty amazing. It's really amazing.
I just realized I've had hypnotherapy and I didn't know that's what that was. But I was
Oh, okay.
thinking about this experience I had. I went through this stage, I don't know, it was like 4 years ago or so, where I literally was practicing my self trust, practicing listening to my intuition. So anybody that I saw online or that I came into contact with who was like a coach, a healer, something, I'm like, if my intuition said you should work with that person, I did. And so I ended up working with like four different amazing, fabulous people who all
Oh,
did
I love
different things.
that. Love
One
that.
of them did that. And I was working specifically on this. I was having this very difficult relationship. It was very conflictual. And I felt like I was a bad person. Like at the end of the day,
Mhm.
in this whole thing, it's like, oh no, I was
Shame.
wrong. I'm bad. I'm this, even though the reality was not that. But in my
Sure.
mind, so she gave me a tape, 21 days. I would listen to it before I went to bed. It was like, it
Yeah.
was fabulous. And then at the end of it, I'm not a bad person. Who knew?
Exactly. It's amazing. That's like the surrender experiment. Have you ever read that book by Michael Singer? He
Mm-mm.
says yes to everything. He's just like an experiment. I'm going to say yes to what feels right. What feels right.
Yes. Oh, I
And
love
that,
that. Yeah. It's
yeah,
kind of what I did. And yeah, it was great. But how funny. I'm like, oh, well, I did that. I've done hypnotherapy.
Okay, I have two questions.
Okay.
And I'm going to pull the privilege of being a podcast co-host card.
Okay.
First off, my husband's hypnotherapist does not do the recording. And I'm like,
Okay.
I need to talk to him about that because that would be
Okay.
really, really helpful for him. So that was a really good idea. Okay. So on this podcast, we'd like to really reveal a lot about ourselves. So this is kind of a truth bomb about me. So I have this bizarre reoccurring dream, and I've had it as long as I can remember. And I literally have gone through all the phases of my life in a reoccurring dream. Like for a while, it was when I was working at this company. Like I'm currently going through, I'm trying to remember, I think I was done with college. Maybe it's post college, but it's bizarre. Like I go through these phases of my life, like in the order. And then when, for whatever reason, it's complete, then I move on to the next one. And it just kind of reminded me of the work you're doing. It's like, I don't know, my subconscious is like working some shizzle out in some kind of like programmatic way, but it just struck me when you did that. I was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what she's talking about, is like working through this stuff. So
I believe it is. And oftentimes in hypnotherapy, you can even explore what that is. But we do work through a lot of things in our dreams. I mean, I'm an energy healer and intuitive as well. So often, we process quite a lot in our dreams. So, you're doing your own little healing there. So
yeah, my mom used to say dreams are, I'm going to butcher this, but and it was really interesting because she was very Christian and very like spiritual. So this is kind of woo woo for her to say, but she would say your dreams are a place where you can process stuff that's too difficult for you to process while you're conscious.
Yeah.
Genius, right? Like who knew Renee was like the woo-woo, right, Karen? Like that was not like how she rolled at all.
Hey there, I'm Lisa Corachella McDowell, your midlife Pacific Northwest princess, here to guide you in the art of next leveling your life. I'm passionate about women's health and wellness in midlife, especially for moms parenting kids with unique needs like I do. I truly believe we can learn, grow, advocate, and care for the planet while taking care of ourselves and our families. And I'd love to help you do the same. And I'm beyond excited to tell you about my membership for maxed out mamas just like me, the Empowered Parent Collective. It's a space for parents to confidently advocate for their kids, build inclusive communities, educate themselves, and find balance and support along the way. To find out more about the Empowered Parent Collective, my classes, wellness offerings, parenting tips, advocacy resources, and exclusive Drinks with the Girls goodies, head to nextlevellifewithlisa.com. Let's survive and thrive in the messy middle together.
What does that freedom piece look like for women after they've worked with you? They've worked on their limiting beliefs, whatever's keeping them stuck, holding them back. What does that freedom usually look like for them?
It looks like no apologies. They get to be themselves, and the mask gets taken off, and no more perfectionism, because perfectionism is just so much exhaustion. and health issues and outsourcing their power. So if you just take that one piece alone and you get to be you, well, then maybe you get to be more creative. Maybe you get to start your own business. Maybe you get to write your book. Maybe you want to just take walks in the morning and touch your dog and, I don't know, drink your tea quietly in the morning. Then you never gave yourself permission to do that and just be you. Or finally tell that friend, stop talking so much. I actually think you talk too much. I don't know. You get to be you. So, I'm joking, but,
sorry, not sorry.
You get to be you and themselves, their truest, all of them, and not protected, not guarded. And they get to trust themselves, because when they're not trusting themselves, there's so much hesitation, holding back, not being authentic, and then they're not living their dreams. They're not, and so much anxiety and depression comes from us not fulfilling our dreams and not even trying to fulfill our dreams. I might not ever be a ballerina, but I'll tell you right now, I'm about to get married and I'm just taking this silly little dance class and I'm getting my little dance fulfillment. And it is so exciting to be back in a little dance class and just feel like I'm doing that again. And that part of my life is back in my life, and music and dance and creativity. And so we have to have that part of us that sparks us back in our life. And you get to do that when you trust yourself. You take risks. So that's what comes back.
I think your work is so important because, like what we've talked about earlier, how we're just not raised to trust our intuition. We're not raised to trust our choices, to trust ourselves, So when we get to this point, the good thing about midlife is we have zero fucks left to give, really. And so we just kind of don't care anymore about the people pleasing and about doing all these things. And we want to do what makes us feel good. So thank goodness for that piece. Or else I feel like women will just spend their whole lives living somebody else's life.
Yeah. And I spoke big picture. So, in many cases, I see relationships get stronger. I see relationships end. I see women take charge of their finances. I see women leave their jobs and go get the job they wanted. Or I see women that haven't been working go do something they want to do, or have a conversation that's been difficult with their children or their partners. Really speak up for themselves. I just ran into a client I'd only ever known virtually, and she was a teacher and she just was sick of it, burned out. And she finally had the courage to go do something else with it. She finally now teaches other teachers. And I saw her at a healing convention, and now she's like, I'm doing this. This is something I always wanted to do. And she has a coloring, she's an artist too. So she has her own coloring book and these affirmation cards and all these things. And she's like, I have confidence now to do what I want to do. But before, she would never speak up for herself. And so, she gets to have this whole new part of her life because she has this courage and freedom to be who she wants to be.
Yeah, we're on the roadmap is an episode about, because we're both former educators, educator toxicity and kind of what the toll is in that profession. So,
yep. I've come from a family of teachers, so I see that.
Okay, let's talk about gratitude for a second. How does gratitude actually help shift subconscious beliefs and self-doubt?
Well, gratitude is I look at it as a reset button. I don't look at it as fluffy affirmation cards or nice words you write on your mirror, although those are nice. I look at it as an opportunity to reset your nervous system and just reset whatever's going on. I actually had trauma and a lot of anxiety growing up. So in my midlife and after divorce and so on. So gratitude was probably one of the only things that would put me back on track. And so it's something that I think is really valuable and important, because it tells your subconscious mind that hold on, I do have, even taking this breath, I'm grateful for this moment, this breath. It just calms everything down and allows you to reset and focus on the now, in the present moment. Because boy, do we like start to cycle and, you know, forward pace, and our mind doesn't know how to forward pace. That's one thing that in hypnosis we learn, the power of speaking in the present tense, and gratitude puts you back in the present tense. Like, I'm grateful for, you know, even just sitting on this bed. I'm grateful for, I can remember after my divorce and my kids leaving home, here I am, just, you know, the dog and I'm like, great, now what? You know, I'm grateful I get to pet my dog. I'm grateful I'm here. I'm great. And then it gets a little bit better after that, right? And in the here and the now. So it tells your nervous system that you can trust yourself. I trust my life. I'm here and now, instead of tomorrow's going to be great. Next week's going to be great. I'm going to tell you right now, your mind doesn't know what to do with that. And we do that a lot. You know, I'm going to work really hard. This is going to be great next year. I mean, that's great. But our subconscious mind is just going to go whoop-de-woo with that.
I love that. Not only I trust myself, but I trust my life.
I trust my life.
That takes on a bigger meaning to me. That it's because it's like, okay, I'm working with a greater power, whether it's God, the universe, or whatever, and I'm trusting that it's unfolding the way that it should, even if maybe in that moment I can't recognize being grateful for big things. It's like just being present to the little tiny things and just being trusting in that it's all the way that it should be.
And I think all the things that we think are happening that are bad or lessons or hard in our life, I actually work on, let's see the gratitude in this lesson. What, you know, and that's so hard when things are rough and things are ugly and messy and sad, or, you know, but at some point, we should try to get to a place that, all right, what can I be grateful for in this experience? How did I grow? Because if you can do that, you will really be proud of yourself. You will find something to be grateful for. And in that little sprout of gratitude, something will grow. You will find something to be grateful for in that lesson, in that experience that maybe a week ago looked like a disaster or was a really hard thing in your life.
I've been reading, I'm sure y'all have heard of it, but this book called The Gap and the Gain. And have you heard of it, Christina?
I've heard of it. I haven't read it.
So I've started to read it, and you know, it's a pretty simple concept, and I'm kind of like, how are they going to get a book out of this, right? But the idea is that we live in the gap, right? We live in, I'm here, my goal is to be here, right? And so there's a gap there, right? Versus I'm here, but I was here when I started this journey, and oh my gosh, look what I've done. Like, I've gained so much. And
right.
I have really been thinking about that a lot, and it's, to me, like, that is kind of like it works together with gratitude, right? Because you're giving gratitude for the things that you have, for the progress that you've made, for what you've done, right? Because I mean, I'm the midlife woman that sits there before I go to bed like, oh, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, I didn't do this, right? Like, just unravels my day. Like, well, Jesus, I didn't do anything today, which is ridiculous. And right. I think as midlife women, we have to go back and consciously kind of reprogram that. So I really like that image of like, no, I'm living in the gap. What have I accomplished today, right? And I think that kind of goes hand in hand with gratitude. So I'm just curious, like, for women out there that are like, okay, all right, like, yeah, I need to kind of start changing the way I think. Like, what is there a gratitude practice? Is there like an affirmation? Like, what would you say to people that are like listening to this going, okay, I think I need to step down this path and kind of go for this a little bit?
Yeah, I think you just nailed it. I think it is a practice. And I think at the end of the day, anything that we can close out our day and look at something that we can feel grateful for, because we do the way we end our day how we process and how we wake up in the morning. And also, I will say how you start your day, because will you ever notice, I mean, if you look at your phone first thing in the morning, I know Mel Robbins tells us not to do that, and everybody tells us not to do it, and we probably all do it at least a couple times a week.
Truth.
But it's really bad for our subconscious mind, and so that's a really good practice, is to end your day and start your day, even just putting your hand on your heart and saying, I'm grateful for the opportunity to have a new day. I'm grateful for, and think of, one or two things that felt good for today. You are rewiring your mind to celebrate, and your mind wants to celebrate. You get more of what you feel. You don't get more of what you want. So you get more of what you feel. So what are you feeling? Are you feeling I didn't do enough? If you don't do enough, you're going to get more of I didn't do enough. If you don't do enough, over and over and over, I'm not enough. I don't do enough. I don't do enough. I'm not enough. I never do enough. I mean, this is just a cycle. But I'm grateful. I'm a grateful person. I achieve enough. Think about your mind is like a laser. It's determined to find evidence of what you feel. So when you are saying I'm grateful, it's going to find the evidence that shows you're grateful. So you're literally are going to notice throughout your day more things to be grateful for. So I promise, if you do that practice every night, it's going to be easier and easier for you to find things to be grateful for. You'll find evidence more and more, but we get to be right. So, we'll find whatever we're looking for.
I start all my sessions with my clients. Okay, what are we celebrating today? And it's the same thing. And it's so hard because so many of them are wired kind of like Lisa. They're very high functioning, high performing, kicking ass in all the areas of life. But so I ask them that, especially in the beginning, and they're like, they can't think of the things. So we have to excavate, is that the right word? The things, and then, by the end of the time working together, it becomes more natural. It's like, oh yeah, let me look at all these little things that I've done, even though it's not like the big, huge thing. It's still a billions of little things. So I think that's super important. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. And I mean, our subconscious mind is full of a bunch of parts of us, and it's never that we can't have what we want. There's just like a part in our subconscious, call it an inner child, call it a whatever, but it's just a part of us that is stronger than the thing that we want. And so gratitude sort of softens that part. Gratitude, validation softens that part. It feels more seen. It feels more heard. So, I mean, there's many methods and things, but just at a very high level, that just sort of softens and makes that part not want to kibosh a lot of things. It just feels seen and heard and softened, and like, okay, you can trust yourself. I don't need to, exert myself to make you feel, and be more safe. A false sense of safety, that is.
Okay, quick pause. Have we talked about the Pod Squad lately?
Oh, the Pod Squad. You mean our email list /VIP lounge /digital wine club?
Exactly. So listeners, if you're not on it yet, you're basically making life harder for yourself when it comes to podcasts.
Like trying to scroll for show notes while speed walking on a treadmill. Wait, what was that link again? Oh, no. Grab the side rails.
Or pulling up that book we mentioned while you're in the Starbucks line and then realizing everybody else moved up 3 cars and now you're that woman.
We've all been there. That's why we made the Pod Squad. You'll get new episode alerts every week with direct links. Easy to listen, easy to share.
And show notes straight to your inbox. So when we drop a life-changing product, book, hot tip, or yummy new drink, you're not rummaging through your memory like a woman searching for her reading glasses when they're on top of her head.
It's organized, it's helpful, it's for you, babes.
So join the Pod Squad. The link is in the show notes. Just tap it.
Snacks, sarcasm, solidarity.
And obviously, fighting the patriarchy.
We write at dawn.
We talk a lot on this podcast about just kind of reframing the whole idea of midlife. Like, it's not really the decline that we've all been raised to believe that it's supposed to be. So why do you feel like midlife is a really powerful time for this kind of healing for women?
Because you've accumulated experiences and lessons and wisdom, and you can share it. And the wisdom is in the wounds, and it's okay that we have wounds, and the wisdom is there. So we beat ourselves up because we have wounds, but there's wisdom. And once we rise from all of that, and this is our time, we rise and we get to just be who we are. And, we don't care about so much of the stuff we used to care about. And it's important. We spoke about intuition earlier. Think about how amazing it would be if the generations younger than we are trusted their intuition. I mean, this is important. This is ending so many generations of not trusting or being allowed to trust their I feel like this is significant for us to rise right now and say, yes, trust your intuition. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Lisa and I are both raising daughters, and so we talk about things like this sometimes. And not that it's not important for boys, because we both have boys too.
Yeah.
But I think especially, showing our daughters how to do that. And I think it's hard for women of our generation because we're not used to it. We're still learning ourselves. But if we can help them be, further along on the process.
Oh yeah, it was all about performance with us, and got your own paycheck, and
just the struggle was real in terms of all those things. And we're actually thinking about doing a Mother's Day episode where we kind of talk to our daughters. So I'm excited and frankly a little terrified at the same time. So.
Yeah. Oh, I bet I'm listening to that one. I'm grew up in the 80s and 90s, so I'm 56. So yeah.
Yep, you are right there in the pocket with us, my friend.
Oh man,
100%. In terms of takeaways and things like that, I mean, it's just so interesting to me that I feel like there's this through line in a lot of our episodes, almost all of them, where midlife is just this catalyst. Like, people think of it as like where everybody grows old and dies. And I feel like one of the things we celebrate on this podcast is this time to just explode and like be who you are, do what you want to do, dream big, like do all these things and be this person, right? And it's super exciting, but I think we're our own worst enemies. Like, we've talked about like the head trash that prevents us from that. So, I think I'll start takeaways by saying, like, if you're speaking directly to our listeners, which you are, that are coming from that place, like, what message would you give them?
Get curious about anything that's stopping you from, you have a little niggle wiggle inside of you that says, I want to do more. And you're capable of more, and just get curious about what's sabotaging that. Get curious about the procrastination. Get curious about what's telling you you're not good enough or too old or it's too late, or get curious about it. Just start there, because that is not the truth. That is not the truth. That's fear. That's keeping you safe. That's blocking you just shining. And it's just trying to keep you safe and stopping you. And it's not the truth. It was there as a safety mechanism. And then once you deal with it, it actually floats away and evaporates. And once it evaporates, you get to go have a lot of fun, and you freaking forget about how old you are, and you really don't nobody cares. And retirement, are you joking? Like, no, I'm about to want to write a book. There's like TEDx stuff, and no, I'm traveling like this. I'm getting married.
This is when it gets good.
It's getting good. The kids are gone. I'm not cooking dinner every night, and midlife is amazing. So,
Karen, you're speaking Karen's language now for sure.
I'm all for not cooking dinner every night.
I get to eat olives if I want for dinner. It's like I can do whatever I want.
That's a great idea. Olives and wine.
Exactly. I tell my clients, this is the time to put your foot on the gas. We're not taking our foot and putting it on the brake. We're putting our foot on the gas.
Yeah. We all have blocks and beliefs. And so you're not special or unique. It's okay. And there is support out there. There's methods and techniques and support to help you get rid of them, because they are not the truth about you. You don't look at a baby and say, oh, sweetie, you're not enough. Or, you're going to grow up with a bunch of things that sabotage you and you should. That's not what we ever do to a baby. And why are you doing it to you? So you're worthy and you're enough. And there are so many things. And I usually work with clients for just a couple sessions. I mean, things like hypnotherapy, other methods. There's so many different methods now that are so much quicker and faster and get to the root of things so much quicker than maybe, 10, 15 years ago when we used to talk about these things.
So if we have listeners out there that are nodding their heads like Lisa and I are, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, you see Lisa and I nodding our heads throughout this whole episode. So if there are women out there listening and they're nodding along and their intuition is like, making their hackles raise up a little bit and they're kind of like really interested in maybe what working with you or what hypnotherapy could do for them, but they're scared or they're nervous, what would you say to them?
I would say that I'm just like you. I got divorced. I changed my career. I really have a huge heart and I work with my clients just like, we work very closely one-on-one. Hypnosis is not scary. It doesn't feel weird. It's a very fast way to get to the root of something and talk with me. Find out. If I don't think it's for you, then I'm going to steer you in a different direction. It's not for everyone, but it's not a big scary beast either. And just don't watch Netflix about it and you're good. So no, I didn't have a silver spoon in my mouth. And I think that absolutely helps connect with my clients and relate to them. And, I have a lot of stories and the way we connect. And I find that my clients really relate with me and we have a lot of fun. Each client is different and unique and I meet them where they're at. I don't ever come in and say, this one hypnotherapy method is the same for everyone. I have many different methods and techniques. Some people have more anxiety than other people. And so we figure out together, what would work best for them.
And it's interesting too, because we've talked to quite a few different, like I mentioned, my friend that's psychic, and we're doing a series on trauma and different kinds of things. And I think, again, if I'm talking about through lines, that seems to be my theme tonight. It's so interesting to me because I feel like the best professionals are the ones that can unequivocally state, hey, this may not be for you. It might be. It may be. Let's talk to me. Let's explore what this might be and see what happens, right? Like, I feel like the best clinicians are very aware that they may not be all things to all people. And I love that. I think there's such a power in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing I do know about hypnosis, because a lot of people will ask, does it really work? And does it work on everyone? It can work on everyone, but you are so powerful that if you don't want it to work or don't believe it will work,
totally,
it's not going to work. Yeah. And so, I'm not here to convince you it will work, but I'll explain how it works. And then if it feels right, great. But there'll be no convincing because there's just another thing for you that might feel better for you. And do that.
Yep.
If it feels right, do that.
So Christina, how can people work with you? Where can they find you? Do you have anything that you're offering right now? Tell us a little bit about what you got cooking.
Yes. So I have a few things cooking right now. So I can be found mostly on Instagram, Christina.lwoods, and my website is ChristinaLwoods.com. And for the month of September, since I'm getting married this month, I have my Next Level You program, which is kind of a cool hybrid program. It's one-on-one sessions with me and then a group calls monthly. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. It's normally $777. It's down to $555 for people. Ooh. It's the least expensive way to work with me. And that's a special for the whole month of September because there's wedding vibes in the air. So
congratulations. That's so exciting.
It is.
So, when is the wedding?
Happen then? September 27th.
Nice.
I like the sevens. I'm feeling the sevens. The sevens are like symbolic, I think.
I know. Yep.
Awesome. Well, everybody, we are hitting the end of another episode of Drinks with the Girls. My gosh, we're just so grateful for these amazing women that, I tell you what, when Karen and I started this, it was like, oh, we're just going to talk and chat about like different topics. And like when we got the first kind of publicist or person reaching out to us and saying, oh, you know, so-and-so wants to be on our show, it was like, wait, do they have the right email? like we were not prepared for this at all. And it's been so amazing to meet all these incredible women that are doing these amazing things for everyone, all the women out there. And this is no exception for sure. And, you know, we just want to thank you for everything you're doing for our sisters. And we appreciate so much all the information that you've given. Y'all put that in the show notes so you can find Christina. Wish her a happy marriage and all those good things.
Oh, thank you guys are awesome. So fun.
Oh, that's so cool. And again, right, we've pivoted a little bit with our show notes and we've kind of talked about that. But again, please subscribe to the Pod Squad. That's where you're going to get the show notes. This is kind of our pivot in terms of evolving Drinks with the Girls 2.0, because where we want to take this, we really need to grow that email list. You guys have been awesome. Like, keep those 5-star reviews coming. But get that link. It's every episode, and subscribe to the Pod Squad because you get that episode delivered to you right in your inbox. You get all the show notes in there, and it's the perfect place to share with a friend. I've personally been getting quite a few contacts of people reaching out to me and saying they're listening, which is like, we love that. Absolutely. Karen, you want to share anything? Close us out?
Yeah, that's just our favorite thing when people end up on our DMs saying, oh my gosh, that was such a great episode. Keep it coming. But Christina, this was so amazing. We appreciate you so much being here. I know our listeners got a lot out of this just like we did. And listeners, if your intuition is peaked right now, check out Christina, go to her website, have a chat with her, listen to that intuition. And I would be interested in possibly having you back to just talk about your midlife pivot.
Totally.
Because
Oh, yeah.
I just think that whole piece, we didn't even really dive into that. And that's something that we talked about here on the podcast. So listeners, stay tuned for that. And don't forget, share with a girlfriend. Check us out on Instagram, all the places. And we'll see you next time. Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.